call the meeting to order at 7:02. Can we have a moment of silence, please? We stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Mrs. Turner? Here. Mr. Bromhall? Here. Mr. Gaffney? Here. Ms. Sycombe? Mr. Kenny? Here. Mr. McGuckin? Here. Ms. Quinn? Here. Mrs. Trompe? Here. Ms. Fitzwater? Here. Statement is hereby made that adequate notice of this meeting was given by submission of said notice to the Burlington County Times, the Courier Post, the Cinnaminson Township Clerk, and the district website on January 14, 2021, and also on January 6, 2022. We're moving on to Section 4, Routine Business. We have the Board Secretary's report for February 2022, the Treasurer's report for February 2022, budget receipt transfers for February 2022, the monthly transfer report as of March 9th, 2022, the high school activities report for February 2022, the food service management cost performance statement for February 2022, the certified bill list for February 10th through February 28th and March 1st through March 9th, 2022. The approval of minutes, the regular meeting on February 15th of 2022, and the executive session on that same day. Mrs. Turner, can I have a motion to approve Section 4, Routine Business, letters A through H? Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McGuckin. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mrs. Quinn?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 5, Routine Matters. We have the enrollment report for March 11, 2022, the health report for February 2022, the fire alarm report for February 2022, the crisis drill report for February 2022, the HIB report, and the superintendent's monthly report. Mr. Capello.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater, and to members of the board and members of the public, I'll apologize in advance, a little bit under the weather, so bear with me as I nurse my way through the report this evening. Literally hot off the presses, here in the room where it happened, we held the return of the Future Chefs competition. 5 students from the Eleanor Rush School competed with their original recipes, all themed after a book or a movie, and I'm very happy to announce the winner was Josiah Guyton. Congratulations to Josiah and all of the participants. The meals were, original dishes were fantastic. Also, congratulations to all of the students from the New Albany School who took part in a variety of reading challenges over the course of the last couple of weeks. Kindergarten students participated in the famous Amos Read Aloud Challenge. First grade students participated in the Reading Olympics. And second grade students were instrumental in reading and sharing their reflections on their favorite books. All students received a sweet treat of famous Amos cookies for embracing their love of reading. So congratulations and thank you to all the teachers who helped make that happen. Also, congratulations to our CMS Pirate players who just finished a successful production of Moana Jr., also in the room where it happened. Special thanks to Miss Berry, Mr. Sereno, Miss Sigmund, and Mr. Spencer for their hard work and dedication in the return of live theater to Cinnaminson. It really was a fantastic performance. And speaking of the return of live theater, this week the high school production of The Addams Family opens. I'm sure we'll hear about it again in our high school reports, but we wish the best of luck to all of the young student performers and stage crew members and musical participants, and best of luck to Ms. Schweitzer and Ms. DePietro, Ms. Nicely, and Mr. Bacon on their inaugural show together. I'm happy to report that on March 7th we reverted back to a mask optional status in the district, and most pleasing for me to report is we've had only one positive case since that policy change, and we'll knock on wood and continue to remain hopeful for this positive trend to continue. On this evening's Board of Education agenda is reauthorization of the Pirate Path Forward, now in its 4th iteration. And this offers a practical application of contact tracing given the current numbers in our community and in our district. These changes will call upon the district to reassess should the status of our region change and should we need to revert back to more protective measures. Also, we expect testing to be available in our schools, and we expect to announce that in the coming days, whereby nurses will have the ability to test symptomatic individuals or individuals potentially exposed. So we're excited to be able to offer that to families as a remediation measure. Also this evening, we'll be, under other business, a little later in the board meeting, we'll be reading a resolution designating Cinnaminson Township Schools as a stigma-free school district. And for individuals who may not be familiar with this designation, in September of 2021, the Burlington County Commissioners authorized a resolution designating Burlington County as a stigma-free county. And this resolution by the county and now by our school district will allow us to make it clear that in Cinnaminson schools we recognize the importance and education and awareness for mental health and substance abuse. Our Board of Education is committed to supporting local resources that are available to treat the disease of mental illness and substance abuse disorder, and so that the residents and those affected will not suffer alone. Later this year, student representatives from throughout Burlington County at both the high school and middle school level will gather alongside mental health professionals from each of their respective schools to gather for training and a best practice share in the areas of mental health. We are hopeful that this event will serve as a springboard for empowering students to participate in these important conversations and serve as leaders in their communities to help support those struggling. I applaud our Board of Education for making a statement this evening and supporting this important initiative and for recognizing that there can be no student health without student mental health. So thank you to members of the board for your support. Mrs. Fitzwater, that is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. McGuckin, can I have a motion to approve Section 5 routine matters, items A through F?
So moved.
Second? Thank you, Mrs. Turner. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Iacone?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 6. The student representatives report from the high school. We will hear from Allie Nider.
Thank you. The Golden Apple Award recipient is Mr. Miller and was given by Delaney Amandi. Our class of 2022, Brianna Petrella, class of 2023, Emma Mastrangelo, class of 2024, Isaiah Williams, and class of 2025, Nick DeCesar. Here's an update on spring sports. Baseball practices have started. They will begin scrimmaging this week to prepare for their first game on April 4th versus Burlington Township at 3:45 home. Softball practices have begun with new head coach, Mr. Lewis Arnold. Captains will be selected soon, and they will have their first game on April 5th away at Triton at 3:45. Girls lacrosse practices have begun. Their first scrimmage is on Thursday, March 15th against Sterling at home. Their first varsity game is April 6th at 3:45, and JV is at 5:15 at home. Boys lacrosse practices have started. The team has their first scrimmage on Tuesday, March 14th versus Seneca at 3:45 home. Track and field practices have began. Their first meet is Tuesday, April 5th at 3:45 away at Bordentown. Boys tennis team captain is senior Ryan Hoban. Their first practice was Monday, March 14th. Their first match is April 4th at 3:45 home versus RV. Golf season has begun. Captains are seniors Nick DeLeo and Pierce Lee. The team has been practicing after school to prepare for their first match on Tuesday, April 5th at the Riverton Country Club at 3:45. Boys volleyball had over 50 boys sign up, which allowed them to form a varsity, JV, and freshman team for the first time in 3 years. Their first game is April 5th away at Burlington Township, against Burlington Township at home 3:45. Student council and senior class officers who are interested recorded themselves reading children's books to share with the kindergartners. Ms. Kohler made the videos available to students who were encouraged to read. The videos were shared during Read Across America Week and were adorable. The CHS Drama Club is continuing its hard work on the Addams Family. Tech rehearsals are underway, and our cast, crew, and pit continue to impress with their dedication. We thank our parents, staff, and the board for their ongoing support of this endeavor, and we're excited to see everyone this weekend from March 18th to 20th. The senior classes count down to Disney. The class of 2022 is counting down the days until they leave for their senior class trip to Disney on Tuesday, March 29th. They will return on Saturday, April 2nd. The CHS DECA chapter attended the 2022 New Jersey DECA State Career Development Conference at the Haraz Resort in Atlantic City, New Jersey, February 28th through March 2nd. 10th grader Leah Coley made it to the semifinalist round in the third role play event in the apparel and accessories marketing event. Additionally, Cinnaminson DECA advisor Roger Roslowski received the 2022 New Jersey DECA Outstanding New DECA Advisor Award. On Monday, March 21st, students and staff at the high school will participate in the district-wide Rock Your Socks Day in support of World Down Syndrome Day. NHS continues to tutor in person at the high school from 2:15 to 2:45 every Tuesday and online for the entire district every Tuesday from 4:30 p.m. Interact is sponsoring the March to Stop Hunger, a month-long campaign to collect non-perishable food items, gift cards, or personal care items to the CHS Food Pantry. Donations will be distributed to local services to best help the local community. Cinnaminson students were selected to the Western Burlington County Honors Band. The following students were selected: Warren Burningbrook, Rose Carroll, Derek Cosino, Brian Cosino, Juliana DeCesar, Nicholas DeCesar, Loon Yang, Ian Kershaw, Rachel Matson, Ella Morrison, Andrew Mosey, Aiden Underwood, and Taylor Waite. Additional congratulations to Nick Olson, who placed first on bass guitar at the NJAJE Regional 3 Honors Jazz Band auditions just last night. Students participated in the Global Economic Forum, which focused on closing the digital divide globally by providing more equitable access to financial institutions, education, and telehealth to economically developing nations. Dimitri Emilias, Stephanie Renoff, Sriram Malango worked together with Emma Schreier, who was award-winning in these efforts. The 37th Invention Convention is underway and will be held on March 28th at Cinnaminson High School. Inventors have the unique opportunity to attend mentoring sessions at the high school's Innovation and Design Lab, where they will work one-on-one with the high school students in the documentation and development of their inventions. We are hoping that this opportunity provides our inventors with the resources to bring their wild ideas to life. To encourage participation, the Invention Convention will provide the classroom teacher with the most student inventors to the opportunity to select a STEM kit to integrate into one of their lessons. Hopefully, administrators, teachers, and parents will join everyone in recognizing our students' efforts at the award ceremony on March 28th from 7 to 8:30 p.m.
Thank you, Ellen. Comments or questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear from the middle school representative, Olivia Ruggieri.
6th grader Armand Madison, 7th grader Addison McMullen, and 8th grader Chase Mancia. The Burlington County School Boards Association hosted annual 8th grade dialogue online this year. This recognition program honors 8th grade students whose character, determination, school spirit, and leadership inspire all of us. Congratulations to Samantha Danowski for representing Cinnaminson Middle School in this year's 8th grade dialogue. CMS students in Miss Genevieve Curran's Social Studies class took first and second place in this year's South Jersey National Organization for Women Alice Paul Chapter's 30th Annual Essay Contest. The second place winner is Mia Zuccarelli, and our first place winner is Shayna Koch. Congratulations to our students and to Miss Curran for fostering this opportunity. In Stop Club, the students created a Stop and Take What You Need interactive display. Students and or teachers can keep short message for themselves or grab one to pass it along to another student or colleague. To celebrate February as the month of kindness, Stop thought this would be a great interactive board that assembly to anyone in the building. In honor of Women's History Month, the Shaw Club researched quotes from famous women and displayed them in the halls. They are also decorated the hallways with positive messages on shamrocks for the month of March. March 21st is World Down Syndrome Awareness Day. It is also known as Rock Your Socks Day. Students, teachers, and staff are encouraged to wear crazy socks, bright and colored socks, long socks, short socks, printed socks, and mismatched socks, or any kind of fun socks to celebrate being unique. The Cinnaminson districts and other schools around the world celebrated International SEL Day on Friday, March 11th. As we know, SEL improves well-being, academic outcomes, builds a positive school climate, and provides children and adults with the necessary skills to excel in today's world. Each school celebrated the day by participating in SEL-related activities and lessons. This month, CMS is having a March Madness Rock, Paper, Scissors competition between staff and students. Students will compete best out of 3 Rock, Paper, Scissors battles each week. These matches will take place and be televisioned on Pride TV. One student or staff member will take the glory, and bragging rights for the student or staff body. Let's see who will take it all. Congratulations on a job well done to our CMS Pirate players on their production, Moana Jr. Spring sports are holding their meetings this week with practice scheduled to start. Let's hope this good weather continues to get us off to a good start. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia, and good luck to the students in the rock, paper, scissors contest. All right, we are moving to, we have no presentations tonight. Anyone have correspondence to share on the board? Okay, we're moving on to Section 9, the committee reports. We have 2 committees to report on this month. The first is the Curriculum Committee. Mr. Kenny has that report.
Thank you. The Curriculum and Student Activities Committee met virtually on March 8th. The committee received a proposal on the creation of a National Junior Honor Society for the middle school. Other items included an update on state assessments, including the results of the Seal of Biliteracy exam and the NJ GPA testing. There was a high school activities report, as well as reviews of instructional materials for K-4 math, high school French, and grades 3 through 5 social studies. Other items included field trip and professional development requests, a new high school course. There was an update from Mr. Capello on the Stigma Free Schools Initiative, as well as potential changes on the Pirate Path Back. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. We also had a policy committee meeting. Mr. McGuckin has that.
Okay, thank you. The Policy and Legislation Committee met online via Google Meet on Tuesday, March 8, 2022. The committee began the discussion with the proposed updates to the Pirate Path Forward, which included modifications to contact tracing and quarantine protocols, which will be implemented upon approval by the full board this evening. The committee then discussed updates to existing policies and regulations as recommended by the district's policy consultant, Strauss Esme. Likewise, several new policies and regulations were proposed as a part of the update package. These policies appear on the agenda this evening. Finally, the committee discussed a pending piece of legislation that, if signed by the governor, would allow districts to employ virtual school days during inclement weather. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGuckin.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gaffney, can I have a motion to approve Section 9, Letter A, committee reports?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Trompe. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mrs. Quinn?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Section 10 is public comments on items appearing on the agenda. Does that mean you want to comment? All right, moving on to Section 11, Personnel Certificated. Mr. Capello.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater. Under Section 11, Personnel Certificated, Letter A, Number 1, seeking for the board to accept the resignation for the purposes of retirement of Anthony Ferrante, counselor at Cinnaminson High School after 6 years of service to the children of Cinnaminson, effective June 30th, 2022. Number 2, seeking the board to accept the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Mary Norman, school nurse at the New Albany School, after 15 years of dedicated service to the children of Cinnaminson, also effective June 30th, 2022. Under appointments, seeking the board to approve the extension of Victoria Champon, long-term substitute at the Rush School, from March 18th through April 12th, 2022. Number 2, seeking the board to approve the appointment of Janice Bates, substitute teacher, to replace Mark Masicia, long-term substitute, effective March 24th through March 31st, 2022. Number 3, seeking the board to ratify and affirm Emily Fontaine, long-term substitute at the Rush School, effective March 4th through the remainder of the school year. Under number 4, seeking the board to approve Shannon Martin, long-term substitute at the high school, effective March 21st until May 31st. Under letter C, teaching overload, seeking the board to ratify and affirm Jess Sanchez, middle school, for an overage to continue from March 10th through the remainder of the school year for push-in EL services to students in both the middle school and high school. Number 2, seeking the board to approve Maureen Rowan for a single-period overage at Cinnaminson High School, 3 days a week for 5 weeks, starting on April 25th, 2022. And under number 3, seeking the board to approve Carlo Iacona, Catherine Laskowski, and Julie Leeds for a single-period overage at Cinnaminson High School for the same 5-week period effective April 25th, 2022. Nothing under letter D. Under letter E, extra duty appointments. Seeking the board to ratify and affirm Shannon Morris, high school long-term substitute, as substitute head girls lacrosse coach, effective March 7th through March 31st, 2022. Under number 2, seeking the board to approve Laura Kern, head girls lacrosse coach at a prorated stipend from April 1st until the remainder of the 21-22 spring season. Number 3, seeking the board to approve Karnika Mariri as the assistant boys basketball coach, Cinnaminson High School, boys baseball coach, Cinnaminson High School. Number 4, seeking the board to approve Robert Murray and Matt Digney, high school spring weight room supervisors. And number 5, seeking the board to approve Ross Madelon, high school, as substitute spring weight room supervisor. Number 6, seeking the board to approve Dave Gleason and Amanda Adams as middle school assistant track coach for both boys and girls. And number 7, seeking the board to approve Michelle Reisman as the Summer Smart Program Coordinator for a maximum of 80 hours, June 27th through June 30th, and then again July 1st through July 22nd. Under number 8, seeking the board to approve Kelly Palma, Summer Smart Program nurse, and that is through those same dates on the aforementioned item. Under number 9, seeking the board to approve Lori Genovese as Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Committee Co-Chair at the Rush School from March 15th through the remainder of the school year. Under letter F, there are 2 leaves of absence, number 1 and number 2, listed in the agenda. There's substitute teachers and nurses, seeking the board to approve Juliet Wilson as permanent substitute teacher number 2 at the New Albany School effective March 17th. To work a maximum of 4 days a week for the remainder of the school year. And under number 2, seeking the board to approve the following substitute teachers to be called on an as-needed basis, and those names are listed in the agenda. Under letter H, tutor, seeking the board to approve Katerina Galvich as a tutor to be called on an as-needed basis for the remainder of the school year. Under letter I, student teachers, seeking the board to approve Suzanne McAllister for a 300-hour year-long internship through New Jersey Excel towards her principalship licensure under the mentorship of Carrie D. Simone, our school principal. Number 2, seeking the board to approve the internship observation of Jenna Goyen, student at New York University, to observe Devin Moeller, school counselor at the New Albany School during the week of April 25th through 28th. And seeking the board to approve practicum student Harashivi Patel from Jefferson University under the supervision of Travis Igboyne, athletic trainer, from March 7th until April 29th, 2022. And finally, mentor teacher, seeking the board to approve the mentor teachers for the provisional teachers listed below, and that is Tempson Montaletto for Emily Fontaine. And that is personnel certificated staff.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mrs. Trompe, can I have a motion to approve Section 11, Personnel Certificated, items A through J?
So moved.
Second? Thank you, Ms. Turner. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Iacombe?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 12, Personnel Non-Certificated. Mr. Capello?
Thank you again, Mrs. Fitzwater. Section 12, non-certificated personnel, letter A. Number 1, seeking the board to accept with appreciation for 21 years of service to the students of Cinnaminson the resignation for the purpose of retirements to Kathleen Nahill, special education aide at the Rush School, effective June 21st, 2022. Number 2, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the resignation for personal reasons of David Raines, auto mechanic foreman in the Transportation Department, retroactive to March 4th, 2022. Number 3, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the resignation for personal reasons of Jeanette Nickel, cafeteria and playground at the Rush School, retroactive to March 4th. Number 4, seeking the board to accept with appreciation for 18 years of service to the students of Cinnaminson the resignation for the purposes of retirement of Joanne Shea, BSIP aide at the New Albany School, effective June 21st, 2022. Under letter B, leaves of absences, seeking the board to approve the 2 leaves of absences that are listed by employee number in the agenda. Letter C, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the appointment of Zachary Ford, special education, ABA Tech, the high school, retroactive to March 2nd, 2022. And under number 2, seeking the board to approve the appointment of Ryan Palizzi, auto mechanic foreman in the Transportation Department, effective March 23rd, 2022. Letter D, extra duty. Number 1, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the request for Laura Ogden, special education high school aide, for a total of 2.75 hours, retroactive to February 14th, to assist her assigned student at a Play Unified game. Number 2, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the request for Kelly Kroon, special education aide at the Rush School, to work a total of 3 hours of prep time for safety care training, retroactive to March 7th, 2022. And number 3, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the request for Kelly Rooney, special education aide at the Rush School, to work effective February 22nd, March 29th, April 26th, and May 10th, for a total of 4 hours to attend student council with her assigned student. Under letter E, transfers, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the following special education staff transfers for the remainder of the 21-22 school year, and they are listed in the agenda. No job descriptions this evening. And finally, under letter G, seeking the board to approve the following volunteer coaches at the high school or middle school where indicated for spring 2022 under the supervision of the respective head coach, and those sports and volunteers are listed in the agenda under item number 1. And under item number 2, seeking the board to approve Barry Myers, the substitute school bus driver, to be called on an as-needed basis for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. Mrs. Fitzwater.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. Kenny, can I have a motion to approve Section 12 Personnel Non-Certificated Letters A through G?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McGuckin. Comments or
Sure.
questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mrs. Quinn?
Aye.
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 12A, 4 no, yes to everything else.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 13, Curriculum and Instruction. Dr. Goldberg.
Thank you. Under 13, letter A, request board approval of the professional development requests that are attached. Under letter B, requesting board approval of the field trip requests as attached. Under letter C, requesting board approval of a new course at Cinnaminson High School for the 2022-23 school year entitled Fundamentals of Business and Technology. Under letter D, requesting board approval of new instructional materials for next year for high school French, K-4 mathematics, and grades 3 through 5 social studies. Under letter E, requesting board approval of some middle school novels that are no longer in use, and those are outlined in the attachment. And under letter F, requesting approval to revise tuition rates for the Student Activity Center for September of 2022. And those are listed in the agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Goldberg. Mr. Bromhall, can I have a motion to approve Curriculum and Instruction Letters A through F?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Trump-Petty. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Iacone?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 14, Special Education. Mrs. Llewellyn.
Thank you. Under letter A, contracts, there are none. Under letter B, student placements, seeking the board to ratify and affirm a tuition contract agreement with Burlington County Special Services for one student from February 24th until June 20th, 2022. Under letter C, consultant agreement, seeking the board to approve a consultant agreement with MJ Kids to provide augmentative and alternative communication evaluations as requested by the district for the 2021-2022 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Llewellyn. Ms. Quinn, can I have a motion to approve Section 14, Special Education, items A through C?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Trompe. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Iacone?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 15, Policy. Mr. Capello.
Thank you again, Mrs. Fitzwater. Seeking the board to approve on first reading the following policies that are listed by number in the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Ms. Iacone, can I have a motion to approve Section 15, letter A, Policy and Regulations?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Quinn?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Section 16, Business and Finance, Ms. Livingood.
Mrs. Fitzwater, letter A, grants, we have nothing. Item B, under finance, item number 1 is to approve the reimbursement of the 2020 to 2021 tuition based on the receipt of the certified tuition rates from the New Jersey Department of Education as attached. Item number 2 is that the board approves the comprehensive annual financial report and the auditor's management report on the administrative findings for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, as prepared by the Cinnaminson Township Board of Education and the school auditor, Inverso and Stewart. No corrective action is to be taken, and there were no recommendations in the prior year's audit. Item number 3 is to approve the tentative fiscal year 2022 to 2023 school district budget submission for the Executive County Superintendent for approval of the general fund budget of $57,989,308. The special revenue fund is $945,480. And the debt service fund is $2,727,000, which is a total base budget of $61,661,788. The local tax levy is to be presented to be increased by 1%, which is at $35,544,722, and the debt service would be $2,046,738. Item number 4, the maintenance reserve withdrawal is included in the budget line 630 under revenue. The budget withdrawal from the maintenance reserve for the 22 to 23 school year budget is $438,600. This is for required maintenance projects, including electrical, plumbing, and mechanical repairs, and any unforeseen improvements and repairs of the district facilities throughout the budget year. Item number 5 is that the board approves the resolution attached establishing the maximum budget amount for travel and related expenses for the 22 to 23 school year. And item number 6 is the board approves the travel and related expense reimbursement of school staff and Board of Education members for the 2022 to 2023 school year as attached. Item number C, operations. Item number 1, that the board approves the school bus emergency evacuation drills to be conducted between Tuesday, March 15th, 2022, and Friday, March 18th, 2022, for the 21-22 school year in accordance with New Jersey Administrative Code and as attached. Item number 2, disposal of equipment, that the board approves the disposal of one smartboard, M600, which is out of use as attached. Item number 3, that the board approves the joint transportation agreement between Cinnaminson Township Board of Ed and Camden City Board of Ed retroactive for the period of September 1, 2021 through June 21st, 2022 at the following route, CN 56, at a total rate of $21,330. Item number 4, that the board approves the attached settlement agreement and release with regard to special education and educational services for a student in the attached administrative documents. Letter D, contracts. Item number 1, professional contracts, that the board approves the contract for the school physician between Cinnaminson Township Board of Education and Dr. Jonathan Weissman for the period of March 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022 at a rate of $6,000 as attached. Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater.
Thank you, Ms. Livingood. Mrs. Turner, can I have a motion to approve Section 16, Business and Finance, letters A through D? Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Trompe. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mrs. Quinn?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. 17, other business, Mr. Capello?
Yeah, I'm going to ask the board if we can table items A and B until after an executive session. And for item number C, I'm going to ask board member Ms. Quinn.
I'm going to read it, right? That's what I'm
Yes, this
doing?
would be the resolution for stigma-free schools.
Okay, so this is the resolution, the Burlington County proud to be stigma-free, resolution establishing Cinnaminson School District.
Alarms.
I don't know why my alarms, what is going on? Isn't someone else's alarm going on
I think
too?
someone's pranking us.
I guess we have to just make sure we're all here or something.
Mr. Creel, could you stop that?
Okay. I'm going to remix this. Okay. Resolution establishing Cinnaminson School District as a stigma-free zone for mental health awareness. Whereas the Board of Education of Cinnaminson is committed to establishing the district as a stigma-free zone supporting efforts for mental health awareness, and whereas the National Institute of Mental Health reports that nearly 1 in 5, or roughly 53 million Americans, live with a mental illness, and 1 in 6 youth ages 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year, but only half receive treatment. And whereas in 2019, 36.7% of students reported persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness, nearly 19% of high school students had seriously considered attempting suicide. And whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death among high school-aged youth ages 14 to 18. In 2018, a total of 48,344 persons of all ages died from suicide, and where suicide was the 10th leading cause of death overall in the United States. And whereas the stigma associated with the disease of mental illness is identified as the primary reason individuals fail to seek the help they need to recover from disease, and whereas when severe mental illness goes untreated or undertreated, it can lead to alcohol or substance abuse, dropping out of school, unemployment, homelessness, or suicide. And whereas raising awareness of mental illness is an effective way to reduce the stigma associated with the disease and encourage those who are affected to seek services and support. And whereas Cinnaminson School District is committed to creating public interest and open dialogue about stigmas, raise awareness of the disease of mental illness, and create a culture wherein residents who have the disease of mental illness feel supported by the community and feel free to seek treatment for the disease without fear of a stigma, so recovery can begin. And therefore, be it resolved, the Cinnaminson School District in the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, is hereby designated as a stigma-free zone.
Thank you, Mrs. Quinn.
You're welcome.
Mr. McGuckin, can I have a motion to approve Section 17, letter C?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Trompe. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Iacone?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Section 18, public comments on other matters. All right. We're going to Section 19, comments from the board. Mrs. Turner.
Good evening. Congratulations to our Sodexo hosted Rush School Future Chef Competition tonight today. Desire Clayton has Ratatouille recipe moves on as part of the national competition. Congratulations to Mrs. Joanne Shea for her dedication to the children of our town. Enjoy your retirement. Congratulations to all the retirees. We appreciate your many years of serving our students in schools. Congratulations to the middle school students that participated in the musical. Good luck to the CHS students on the upcoming musical, The Addams Family, Break a Leg. Good luck to all spring athletes. Wishing our senior class a safe and fun trip to Disney World. And thank you to Allie and Olivia for your positive reports about our schools. The next regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting is Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, at 7 p.m. right here in the middle school cafeteria. The tentative public hearing on the budget will be held on Thursday, April 28th, 2022, at 7 p.m. in the middle school cafeteria. Information will be found on the district website. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Turner. We are going to convene into executive session. We will probably have a couple of notes of business after the executive session. But with that, I'm going to ask a motion from Mr. Gaffney to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McGuckin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are now in executive session.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McGuckin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're back in public session. We're going to Mr. Capello for Section 17, other business.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater. Back under 17, other business, letter A, student discipline. Number 1, seeking the board to approve a parent request to postpone the scheduled student disciplinary hearing before the board until the April 12th, 2022 regularly scheduled meeting. Letter number 2, seeking the board to continue the student suspension until at least such time as the board hearing is held and the board makes a final determination. Under letter B, non-certificated staff, seeking the board to approve the unpaid suspension for the employee listed in the agenda effective March 16th through March 21st, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. Bromhall, can I have a motion to approve Section 17, other business items A and B?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Trompe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passed. And let's convene the meeting. Can I have a motion to convene the meeting, Mrs. Quinn? No, to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, I was like, well, if we really want to go through this again, but so moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.